Hey there, I am Sunny, host of the What Lights You Up podcast, and this is Extra Light, where I give you a little bit extra each week above and beyond the podcast episode that I've released. So, yesterday's was How I Manifested a Human, an adoption story. And I've talked about, over the past couple of episodes, I've talked about all of the ways that I wanted to share this story and all of the ways that I was a little bit hesitant to do so because of some recent experiences that I had had in circles about talking about anything related to adoption, because a lot of the approach in that regard is it's not your story to tell. Is that true? Is that true? And I've talked about that again over the past couple of episodes, so I want you to check them out if you are so inclined and interested to know how I came about getting to the place where I was absolutely ready to share my story. And so today I'm going to give you 3 ways in which you can give yourself permission to share your story. Now, the one thing I will say about this last episode, and when I did share it, there were tears. There were tears. I got a little emotional, and I'm not sorry about that. It stands. It's going to be like it is. I'm not going to re-record it. It is what it is. That's what I was feeling in the moment. And I think that's important too. I think it's important to capture where we are when we are sharing our stories. So let's do it. 3 ways to give yourself permission to share your story. First, honor and commit to yourself. You all, listen, I have said this before. We don't have stories that don't involve other people. A lot of us do not. We do not have stories that do not involve other people. That would be really freaking boring. So yes, of course we are going to have those. It's not your story to tell, but it kind of is, because it's my perspective. Yes, while there are other characters involved, absolutely, no one can tell it from my perspective like I can. So honor that and commit to telling your story. Commit to yourself. It's like having your own back. Try it. Number 2, recognize that you have no control over what other people think of you. You do not. Oh my goodness, we spend our entire lives, we spend so much of our lives thinking that we have some kind of power or control over what other people think. And if we just say it the right way, or we just use the right words, or we just paint the right picture just so, then we're going to be able to control the outcome of what other people's thoughts and feelings are about it. That is just not true. And if you work with me any amount of time, we are going to dig into that. Let me tell you, as a recovering people pleaser right here, we don't have control over what other people think of us, no matter what we do, no matter what we say. So letting go of this irrational need of ours to control what other people think, that is a game changer. That is an absolute game changer. Keep that in mind. Finally, do not be afraid to get it wrong. Do not be afraid to get it wrong, because again, this is your perspective. It is not the other person's perspective. Other people are involved in this story, whatever the story is that you're telling, but no one can tell it like you can. So when someone inevitably comes to you and says, well, that's not how it happened, great. I mean, engage in that conversation. Be grateful to have the conversation and say, oh, really? Yeah, tell me what you remember from that. Because this is what I recall. This was my experience. This is what I had. So what was yours? And yes, of course, when we are talking about family members, it can get a little sticky, and that's okay. Just allow it to be okay, because you're not necessarily wrong. Just because the way that you remember things and the way that you experience things and the way that you perceive things does not line up with exactly the way that someone else was also involved in that story, does not mean that you did anything wrong or that they are getting it wrong. No one is wrong. Let go of that idea of needing to be right all of the time. You know, what is right and wrong? It is really the sum of our experiences. It really is. And of course, there are all of the societal structures that go along with it that we're not going to be able to get into today. But I just wanted to give you those three things, three ways to give yourself permission to share your story in whatever way that you want to share it. You want to write a memoir? Oh my goodness, please. I love memoirs. They're amazing. Do it. What is the thing that you have been holding back sharing because you're afraid of what other people will think, what they will say, what they will feel, and whether or not you are getting it wrong? How many things have you hesitated, and how many things are you holding back about yourself and about your own life experiences as a result? Let's let that go. Let it go. Be sure to like and subscribe on this channel. I would love it if you listen to my podcast, also available on the major podcast platforms, as well as the audio right here on this channel as well. Enjoy.